Today we're doing a proper kitchen experiment. I found cream on clearance at the supermarket and it got me thinking. So instead of just using it for baking, what if we turned it into butter? But here's what I really want to know. How much butter do you actually get from one bottle of cream? Or from 4 bottles of cream? And is it actually worth it? Or does it just feel clever? Because butter is expensive at the moment and discounted cream feels like a win, but is it really? So today we're going to test it properly. We have 4 bottles of clearance cream and a stand mixer. And at the end we're going to measure exactly how much butter we get. So I'm genuinely curious to see whether this is a money-saving hack or just a fun kitchen experiment. So all you need to make butter is cream, that's it, just pure cream, no additives, nothing else, and I'm using regular pouring cream from the supermarket. Now apparently the magic happens when you agitate it enough, so you can shake it in a jar or use a mixer, and basically we're forcing the fat to separate from the liquid. It basically takes a lot of whipping. You whip it and whip it and whip it, and for a long time it looks just like whipped cream. It thickens, it gets fluffy, you think great, I've made whipped cream, but you have to keep going. And this is the part that no one tells you, it suddenly is going to look very wrong. So it starts to split, it looks grainy, and it genuinely looks like you've ruined it, but that's actually the moment. So the fat solids separate from the buttermilk, and suddenly you can see it, actual butter. I think it's kind of wild how this is how butter is made. It's just cream shaken enough. So now we strain off the buttermilk, and you can save that for baking. And what's left is soft, fresh butter. But we're not done yet. The next step is really important. You have to wash the butter in cold water, ice water if possible. You basically press and squeeze it under cold water to remove any leftover buttermilk. And if you skip this, the butter can spoil faster. So you want to make sure you do this part really well. The water will start to get cloudy and you keep rinsing until it goes clear. So what you're left with is soft and creamy butter. It feels similar to a softened version of supermarket butter. And honestly, it smells incredible. It smells like fresh cream, but richer. Now here's the real question. How much butter did we actually get? So once the butter was well pressed and washed, I weighed it carefully, and the total came to 833 grams. Honestly, this was a little less than I expected. I'd imagined the ratio would be more like 2 litres of cream to 1 kg of butter, so I thought I might end up with 1,000 grams. In terms of cost, it works out at just over $7 per 500 grams, so basically break even with a supermarket sale. At this point you can add salt if you want salted butter, or keep it unsalted. It also helps to preserve it a little bit. I added a little salt because I love the contrast and we're so used to it here in New Zealand. Of course though, that doesn't take into account the time spent whisking or the power used for the mixer, but still there's something really satisfying about making it yourself. And the bonus, the buttermilk. I saved it in the fridge and the next morning I made crepes with it. They were fluffy, light, and had subtle tang that only fresh buttermilk can give. Honestly, small kitchen experiments like this have a way of surprising you. You end up with a little bit more than you expected. So yes, the yield isn't massive and it takes a bit of effort, but you get fresh butter, bonus buttermilk, and the satisfaction of creating something from scratch. And that, to me, is worth every second. I'm storing the butter in a Tupperware container, and so far it's been enjoyed also on fresh potatoes out of the garden and sourdough. So what did we learn today? That clearance cream can give you fresh butter, a handy buttermilk bonus, and a little kitchen win,